We're going to be looking at the inquiry question of what did Nazi rule mean for people of Europe, and that's 1939 to 1945. Now, in this section you'll need to look at the differences, really, and similarities between the Nazi treatment in Eastern Europe and Western Europe. And as you can see from this diagram, we're going to focus on Eastern Europe. You can go away and do Western Europe and then maybe compare and contrast those as you go along. So we're going to start now by looking at why. Why did the Nazis do what they did in Eastern Europe? And this will explain quite a lot that follows. You will have learnt about a German term of Lebensraum. That means living space. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis believed that Germans, being the superior race, the Aryan race, deserved land to live in. They needed more of it. And at the same time, they believed that the Poles, that's the case study that we're going to be looking at for this one, the Poles were racially inferior. So when did they do this? Well, this all began in September of 1939, and you should know that date. It's a key date. It's the start, really, of the Second World War. That's when Nazi Germany invaded Poland, and it all really started the Second World War. So what did they do when they got into Poland? Remember, it wasn't just Poland that they invaded, but we're just focusing on Poland as a case study for this. Well, the first thing that they wanted to do, really, was remove Polish culture. And the way that they did that was, well, they had a plan. To remove Polish culture, they would take a number of Poles, we'll look at the figure later, and replace them with Germans. It's quite a simple plan, really. In terms of removal of culture, that's a bit more difficult, isn't it? You can't just remove people and expect there not to be culture there to get rid of. So the way they targeted that is through really top down. They focused on those at the top of Polish culture, so intellectuals, leaders. They looked at universities and looked at lecturers, really people that were at the top of Polish culture, and they believed that if they could remove those, then they would be able to get rid of Polish culture and then start to replace it with German culture. Let's have a look a little bit more now at what they did when they got there. Well, they set up labour camps, and of the Polish population, now when I'm talking about the Polish population now, I'm talking about those that are non-Jew. We're going to look at the Jews separately, but this was just the Poles that were non-Jew, and it was 1.5 million of them were forced into labour camps. They were deported, went into these forced labour camps in awful conditions, many dying when they were subjected to that. So that's the Polish native population. We're now going to look at who was involved and who ran these labour camps and the expulsion of Polish culture. Himmler was in charge. He was the one that planned it, obviously consented by Adolf Hitler. It was governed by Hans Frank, and you know, a lot of the killings, the beatings that took place were instigated by the SS and the Wehrmacht, the army, and out of the Polish population, 1.9 million Poles were killed. Again, that's the figure of non-Polish Jews. We're now going to look at those Polish Jews that it was a lot worse for. So they were persecuted brutally. From 1940 onwards, these Polish Jews were sent to ghettos. 3 million in total were killed, it is believed, in those ghettos, as well as in the concentration camps that were subsequently set out, the most famous of which was Auschwitz. So we've been looking at the inquiry question of what did Nazi rule mean for the people of Europe, 1939 to 1945. We've looked at Eastern Europe first, using the case study of Poland. Now, you don't have to just learn about Poland. You may have learnt in your lessons about other areas of Eastern Europe, that's fine, but we've just used that case study of Poland. Now, what I think you should do with this is go away, create your own mind map of Eastern Europe based on how we've done it, but you want to add your own pictures possibly. You want to add your own ideas. You might have work in your books that you want to add a little bit more detail to, and that's fine. Once you've done that, then you need to do the same for Western Europe. Okay, for that you might look at France, which you may have looked at in lessons. You may look at Netherlands. Again, it doesn't matter which, and you only need to do one of them, but go away and do a similar thing. Once you've done that, and you've got your mind map, then it's about testing yourself. So go back to that inquiry question, set yourself a question, do a past paper question, see how you get on, look back at the mind map and think, did you miss anything out? And then learn that section of the mind map again. Go back, do it again, and test yourself again. So it's a cycle really of learning the mind map, testing yourself and seeing how you get on.